of the titties. CryptoTitties is here. I managed to track down the founder of CryptoTitties, Mike Mongo, sitting here.
One of.
How many are there?
There's three, actually. There's myself, there's artist and creator, Hami Gendron, and then there is Rogers Sampaio, who does the dev work in the background, and we were all there since the beginning.
And we will definitely dive into this. CryptoTitties is actually a project that I wasn't aware of until I think a month or two ago. I saw it pop up on the feed. And then I come to realize that this was...
You saw some CryptoTitties pop up?
I saw some CryptoTitties pop up, and being somebody who's born and raised in Las Vegas, man, I'm definitely fond of the titties. So I had to worked at nightclubs my entire life. I had to figure out, to dive into a little bit deeper what this was. Turns out they were minted like early January 2018, although the project even goes back into 2017.
Yep.
And wow, 4 ETH floor. There's some volume. So Mike, just thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Jake, thanks for having us. Thanks for having me. Like I'm always happy to talk about CryptoTitties. Like we always make titty jokes, but the fact of the matter is that the project started when Ami's mom had breast cancer, and we were working on blockchain stuff. At the time, that's just 2017, and NFT stuff. Though at the time they were called crypto collectibles, and no one had any idea that the future was going to turn out the way that it did. So we started as a whole different thing. In fact, Hami called me to Key West. He and I had worked together for years, and he's significantly younger than me, and I'm 57. And he had called me and said, I wanted to talk to you about crypto collectibles. And I had no idea what that was, but I have a background in computer and technology. So went to Key West for a month, and we just talked philosophy. The philosophy of the blockchain, the philosophy of crypto collectibles. And it was the very first time that I practiced the sort of leaning into the discomfort of crypto and blockchain and what has become Web3. That was the only way to approach it, because none of it made sense then.
Before
and so like I was getting to the point is that when CryptoKitties had already taken off, and we were building this project, and he proposed it. He's the artist. He's the creator. CryptoTitties. His mom had breast cancer, and he wanted to create a project that supported care initiatives and breast cancer awareness for people who suffer from breast cancer, and also preventative measures. And it was a great idea. So I'm all about social good. That's like my MO. And by complete happenstance, we became the first project for social good on the blockchain, number 29th on the blockchain, January 4th, 2018.
Yeah, quite.
9 days after Ether Rocks.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys are right around the crypto cards time. You might be a few days before it. Being the first social good NFT, this is the earliest that I've known. The only one that comes anything close to that is Panda Earth, which I think is a few months after you guys, which that one is a donation to panda conservation. Breast cancer is always the main stage when it comes to charity work. There's multiple weeks of charity donations across the world. So
sure, yeah,
quite incredible that made this move. Before going into crypto collectibles, how long were you in the crypto space for?
Okay, so I have a real heavy, strong background in computers and technology. So I've always been peripheral to it. Like I did not buy into Bitcoin early on. I did not. I was involved in the discussions of it. I worked at Wired when I was in the 90s. There's a magazine called Wired. This is actual magazines. This is a pre-internet 94. I flew out to San Francisco to meet with Kevin Kelly and Stuart Brand about their new magazine, Wired, it was great. And so that's being in the right place at the right time. For everybody who is here today, like that's a history lesson that is applicable to this moment. So everybody who is here in cryptocurrency, in the blockchain right now, my friend Gabe Weiss, the artist, has a saying. He says, if you're here now, you're early. And he says, if you're here 3 years from now, you're early. And it's not wrong. This is an important time to be here. And that's sort of one of the reasons people are appreciating the value of this moment. And that's why vintage and historic NFT projects like CryptoTitties have taken on a whole new life. In fact, the project, we never really did numbers until last year. And then it just took off like insanity, so much that, when ETH was 4,000 running at 4,000 a coin token, we gave 33 ETH to the breasties.org in January. And that's real money. And the funny thing is we were unable to find anyone to take cryptocurrency at any of the nonprofits until April of last year. It just had been stacking up. And then finally I knew someone at the Breasties and I reached out to them, opened up a discussion, and one thing led to another. There's a board member who was a cryptocurrency, who was familiar with cryptocurrency. And this is a major issue for projects today. Let's say that you want to be a project doing something for social good. Let's say you want to work on carbon. You want to work on, penguins are really impacted by global warming. And there's going to be projects that take care of penguins. And last year, up until now, finding a board that was willing to accept cryptocurrency was the big challenge. And it kind of still is, because there's this idea that cryptocurrency and blockchain and Web3 is leading to the problems that are creating situations that impact things like penguins. When we've had 100 years solid of the industrial revolution, then all the other mechanical revolutions and commercial revolutions that occurred over the 2,000 years before that led to the place where we are today. But somehow or another, blockchain and Web3 is the problem.
Yeah, we're always the scapegoat. Always, there's always going to be a scapegoat, no matter who's in office or something to blame.
It's part of the problem, Jake, is that part of the challenge really is that whenever anybody comes up with a good idea, that it's just human nature to shoot it down. It's not even it's like, I have known since I was a kid that if you somehow invented levitation and you started to levitate and you're started to show people like, oh my God, look at me, I can levitate. People would just be picking up things and just they'd be roping you up, tying you down, setting you on fire. They're like, no levitation. And then later it'd be like, we'd all be levitating. We're like, wow, remember that guy that invented levitation? Too bad we set him on fire. That kind of thing.
It's like burning the witches back in the day. So tell me this then, as you and the team were experimenting with CryptoTitties back then, did it feel like you guys were moving down some sort of historic path like this? Did it feel like innovation, or did it feel like more of just toying around with these weird internet tools that are being born?
Oh, it definitely did not feel like a historic path. No, it was definitely cool and really interesting. And it was very clear that we were authoring new territory, constructing new territory. And that's I kind of mentioned that earlier about leaning into the discomfort. Those are the interesting places when especially technologically or even sociologically, even in terms of common consciousness and movements that help define us and become the best version of civilization that we can be. It's never the easy stuff. We used to beat up people who were women because they wanted to vote, just to put a nice little thing on that. And I don't know if you know this, but at that same time, we had children working in meat factories, and look where we are now.
Yeah.
So it's never simple. It is that there's always going to be that uncomfortable transition place. And if you pay attention, like I do, and like Hami does, and like Rogers does, and Hami and Rogers have worked together on so many different projects over the years now, then you kind of discover that this is where the interesting stuff takes place. And here's the best part. That's when the historical part takes place, Jake. That's when you're in that place, when you're doing the thing, I think there's something to this. I don't understand it well enough to say, so I'm just going to keep on researching it. Oh, this podcast. So, I mean, most people don't know this, but Twitter, the company that owns Twitter is called Odeo. And you may not remember, but there used to be a podcast company called Odeo in the mid 2000s. And that's how I met Ev from Twitter, is that I messaged him about Odeo and podcasting, and one of the founders of Twitter, and people that in 2000, I've had my Twitter account since 2007. And it took me years to figure out how to be intelligent on that platform, which, you know, a lot of people would argue that is a oxymoron or not possible. but I love Twitter, and Odeo is one of the reasons I got on Twitter, because of I didn't understand the idea of podcasting, so I wanted to give that a shot. So with blockchain, with CryptoTitties, with the different stuff we're working on, and that applies today, right now. Mm-hmm. All of this applies right now.
Yeah. May 2007, a true OG. It's funny how Twitter, right? It takes some time to kind of figure out the methodology on Twitter, but now as crypto's kind of like pretty much taken over the platform, it's evolved into this like idea of shit posting, which is like intelligent, but also comes off like not as much like at face value, although there's more depth to it. It's interesting how the internet culture has evolved through Twitter, because we've had to normalize ourselves to 140 characters, now 280, right? Because you can't, how can you be intelligent with only so many characters? And I think that's kind of why it's evolved into this like shit posting economy, which is still intelligent in its own way.
So with regard to what you call shit posting, my take on all of it is real simple. I've had friends who are really amazing who have died in the early, like as young as you, and by the grace of good, almost all of them to a person, the last thing that they wrote was really beautiful and inspiring. And then there is the ones that missed it, and the last thing they wrote was angry or hurtful. And that's their, and I read somewhere, or I watched a TED talk, that these platforms that we post on, that we create, they become our digital tombstones. So I'm really thoughtful about that. Like we don't know what's going to happen next. So I definitely don't want the last thing that I post on a platform like Twitter to be something that I would be remembered poorly for, or that would make someone feel uncomfortable. Or I'm glad he's dead. That one. Who's laughing now, Mike Mongo?
Yeah, you got it. It's all cheerful all over your Twitter account that I was looking through before this conversation. But bringing it back to CryptoTitties. Is right here, popped out, funny wording, January 4th, 2018, 100 ETH donation to the breasties when all the OGs were sold. And
that's coming up. That's coming up.
Oh, okay.
That's still like, yeah. So we got these OGs, and 25% of the sales of these goes to CryptoTitties.
Yeah.
Breast cancer care initiatives.
Right here. It says never own minted OGs.
So these are as it went along, as people minted CryptoTitties, the price went up, and these are the last remaining ones, and so the ones that I had before, long gone, I acquired a couple more last year, and I mean, for a significant sum of ETH, even at the time. It's just like I'm not going to walk around without having a piece of the project that I got to contribute philosophically to. Mm-hmm. The art is all Hami Gendron, and I've known Hami as an artist for I mean, really 15 years. And these are the kind of things that, like, we see some of the early projects, and we appreciate the aesthetics of crypto pixel art and everything, but nonetheless, these are gorgeous, and I can see that. I have one on a wall, and I think they're beautiful, and and there's men and there's women and there's extraterrestrials, and they come in all different colors, and they are joyful and they are happy and fun, and that's the whole point. And they're not lurid, they're not sordid, they are cool. They speak to human health and well-being, and who doesn't like titties?
So is this, are these the original pricing from the marketplace? And I do want to preface, because as
yes,
the team was rolling it out, OpenSea really wasn't a thing. I think OpenSea launched like January, February of 2018. So the NFT marketplace was just still in its conceptual phase at this point.
Yes, that's right. So yeah, these are the original prices. Yeah. From back in the day.
And from a historical preservation standpoint, having these minted and then posted actually attributes to the historical value, because there is obviously debate in the community of a 2017 contract with a 2022 mint versus a 27 contract with the 2017 mint. That proof of existence for years ascribes a lot of value to it, especially when you look back into history from just the physical antiquity standpoint. Things that have existed have historically become more valuable over time.
Yeah, that's a great observation, and people are just beginning to appreciate these nuances of vintage and historic NFTs. I don't know if you've been involved in the vintage versus historic NFT conversation over the last month, but so these would be classified as vintage NFTs.
Oh, I've been right there in the heart of the conversation.
Okay, good. All right.
right there with you.
Oh, there's Hami, there's Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So they've been in a handful of businesses.
Okay, so see, the one at the bottom, Wards, is really one that's going to pop up and surprise everybody. Mm-hmm.
Are these all crypto products?
Yeah.
It's so funny with all of the historical OG creators that I bring on the podcast. They always, once they've created that first NFT, they never look back and just continue building various projects from there. I just had a original curio card artist who'd been in crypto since 2011, and once he got into curio, he took breaks up until curio in 2017. But once after that art creation, just never looked back, and has also done a handful of projects.
I get it. Yeah. So last year I did I'm co-creator of the Mftnyc Pause in Space project, and that came out on July 27th. And last year was so fun. I mean, I call last year the immutable 2021, class of 2021. I think that every project that came out last year, if it doesn't succeed, it's on a bigger issue than the project itself. It's hard not to succeed and come out last year.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Yeah. And the thing is, vintage, people who appreciate vintage NFTs understand the importance of 2021. 2021 is 1983 in hip hop. And yes, Rapper's Delight did in fact come out in 1979, but 83 is when hip hop blew up.
Yep, it's the equivalent of the Cambrian explosion for the evolution of humanity. That's kind of how I see it with NFTs. That's the growth. We are, of course, in this speculative phase, which will eventually figure itself out. Maybe, I don't know. Crypto's kind of always speculative, but once we get past like the derivatives and finally move into some of like the utility applications, this is when a lot of people look back and find the simplicity of the early projects as quite valuable.
So for me right now, the way I gauge projects, and this of course does not apply to the vintage projects, it is that I go with art creators, utility, IP, art creators, community, utility, IP, and technology. Art creators, community, utility, IP, and technology.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah,
the art first.
Yeah. And so the art is like you look at a project, you can like gauge, and we're sort of reinventing CryptoTitties with this new model with this, or we're allowing CryptoTitties to have relevance in the contemporary playground of NFTs. And one of the ways we're doing that is by adding utility. And for us, utility is relationship with other blue chip projects and with other we've got and with some new projects too. We got involved with name tag. A lot of people got their name tag. We got all the holders of CryptoTitties got their name tag. I don't know if that's going to turn into anything, but we just like to add value to the people who have been there with us all along. And so the next big thing that's coming from, and this is kind of an announcement, but this is what we're working on, is the next thing we're working on with CryptoTitties is a Gucci tier fashion brand. Like, we've been working with some primo fashion designers to debut and launch the brand at Art Basel in this December.
Wow.
Yeah, because it has that sort of panache. It has a real polish to it. It can be like, there's definitely jokes that have been made along the way that are sophomoric or below the belt in my world, in my thinking. And people get hung up on, it's the US. So people like titties. He said titties. And that's really not the way we've driven the project. We've made some jokes, of course, but like not to be dismissive or derogatory. Mm-hmm. It's not that kind of project. Yeah. And we have a number of friends, people are women, people are men who have gone through breast cancer and who help. They're like the conscience of the project, and they keep us with our eye on the prize.
Yeah. The human anatomy in art is centuries and millennia old, but the internet culture has always been very immature, but it is slowly maturing. Maybe crypto helps, or maybe it just amplifies immaturity. So having a project with breasts in it in the current environment, it can definitely lead to some jokes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go memes, go memes, go. Yeah, the memes. Be free. Memes are very, very powerful. So here for those that are listening, I pulled up the OpenSea CryptoTitties account, 178 ETH volume, 84 owners, 144 items.
Let me show you my favorite one right now. Go scroll right there. Okay, so you see the green one right there?
This one?
The four. Oh my God. First of all, the rarity of that is solid. That's a great piece. That's a great piece.
This is what you'd consider alien or zombie, right?
Mm-hmm. Extraterrestrial, that's what I call it. And so here's the thing on that one. So this is the metadata that's being updated. We had a thing called a motorboating game, and it was hit and miss as far as people's response to it. Some people thought it was awesome, and some people thought it was beneath the project. So we let the motorboating game go, and we're now updating the metadata to. We've got, like I said, we've got some really amazing projects, expressions of CryptoTitties in the contemporary environment that we all are aligned on, that are going to do a great job for having people comprehend the project in the light it deserves. Yeah. Not simply vintage, but with considerations of the importance of health. Yeah.
Social impact. The vintage and historical value is just like an underlying foundation. It's not the say all be all. You can exist just as like an art piece, kind of like what CryptoPunks do, or you could be something like Mooncats and just try to innovate and figure out where the niche is. So here on the website pulled up that there's a motorboat. What is it? Motorboat racing game.
This is the thing that we've put to like, it was win a boat, and the animations were super cute, like having jiggly boobs in a motorboat driving down, and then people contributed, and it just got way too complex and was taking up way too much mental energy from anybody on the team. And then we have a Discord that's full functioning, and we began engaging with collectors and holders and ask what their take on it was. And, just one group was for it and one group was not for it. And we decided to go in a different direction. So this is where, this is where it was headed.
I like the ambition. It's quite funny. So is there a reason why there was only 144 titties? Was that because of that's just what was minted back then, or was it set around a specific number?
Nope, it was just what was minted back then.
Okay, so everything that's on OpenSea is 100% without a doubt January 4th, 2018.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the original existence is as an ERC20, and then these were just wrapped into a new ERC 721 contract.
You saw that, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. In this vintage space, people are very, very specific about how they value these assets, depending on there was one project which it's unfortunate called Pepe DAP, where it was basically remint, and it just kind of destroyed the value.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah,
and it was something that we were very cautious of and very considerate of as we were updating it and making it work for everybody now.
Awesome. Is there a way to unwrap these if they wanted to go to the original state?
I'd have to ask Hami about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And so just here, I'll pull up the Etherscan. I was looking it up. So created 1,594 days ago, January 4th, 2018 from the...
It was like yesterday.
It's history in the making. Yeah, CryptoTitties old CT token, and then you have the deployer, and then a new one. Wow. Transaction. The fee to deploy the contract last year, $132 to deploy the entire contract. Today it's what, 20 times that?
And that was probably, that's when things were starting to happen on the blockchain. So that was probably considered a lot at the time.
Yeah, how quite. And so here's the Breasties charity. I'm glad that you guys have put everything out in the open, and easy to digest and follow along, because sometimes we really have to.
We're always looking for feedback too, though. Mm-hmm. So yeah, because we have real conversations going on. That's how you and I had to began having a conversation. Mm-hmm. And that's what distinguishes one project from another. What adds legitimacy in my view. I mean, I haven't mentioned it, but my background is with I co-founded Obey with Shepard Fairey, and I got to work on Obey for about 15 years, and with Shepard and Alfred Hawken and Blaze Bluen, the skateboarder, and these parts, being credible in graffiti art, is a major thing, and it parallels right here in the crypto space and in blockchain and with NFTs and just keeping that integrity, doing everything in our power. Nobody is perfect and everybody is human. So, and that's really important. That's important to take into consideration while we're working on anything. I mean, if you remember, there was a big thing when Shepard did the Hope poster for the Barack Obama campaign, mm-hmm. and it turned out to be from a photograph that was used to create that image. And in the beginning, it wasn't acknowledged. And then it was like, okay, yeah, this is actually how it went down. That isn't because Shepard is a bad guy by any stretch. That's because he made a mistake. That's it.
Yeah.
And most of the time, people only make mistakes. Most people aren't jerks. We can be jerky, but most people aren't trying to do the wrong thing. Most people are really working to be the best version of, most people are being the best person they can be at any given time. It's funny to talk about this in relation to NFTs and Web3, but it's really important. I think that it's really weird to me how many, what do they call them? Not evil players, but
like bad actors?
Bad actors. So, I mean, it shocks me that someone would go in and just rug something so fast and so hard, mm-hmm. knowing that there's community members out there who really believe in it. And then how many NFT projects have you seen where the community rallies and tries to resolve it and make it work?
Yeah, we've seen this. The first thing that comes to mind is the Funks community. which is still going through their ongoing debate, but got the keys back. It's never seen NFTs scale social capital so fast. It's these people and these people can form around these images, and they add their own value to it, and then everyone fills their roles out immediately within like days to weeks. Some people take on the media side, some people take on the dev side, some people take on the marketing side. It's truly, truly special to watch and see this all unravel. I pulled up the activities, the sales activity, and it goes all the way back to from 9 months ago, August 27th, 2021. I'm assuming this is when the wrapper was made so that it could be sold on OpenSea. Yes. Tell us a little bit about the rediscovery story. Where were you when you realized that CryptoTitties was getting some engagement, some activity? Did somebody reach out to you?
Hami did.
Hami did?
Oh yeah, he said we did $1 million in sales. I mean, I'm like, what? And it was like, it was around Art Basel. I mean, it was like, I'm not kidding. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, like people have discovered it. And I'm like, okay, that's crazy. And then, you know, he's a Quebecois, and he can be really excited, and you know, and he can also be really low key. Hami was raised on a farm in Quebec. He's a real earth guy. He's you know, his dog's name was Gaia, like after the earth. He's into it, and doing the right things and being kind, and super supportive of issues to do with people or women. And Rogers is married with kids in Brazil, and it's just it changed everybody's life, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, that's the incredible part about this NFT excavation process, which a lot of the crypto, I guess you call them the mainstream, they don't really understand, is that these early projects were experimenters. You're doing it for curiosity and you're doing it for a specific mission. There really wasn't the intention of profiting like there is today. So coming back and bringing this back to life now revives the team, gives it second life and the opportunity to really live out that original vision with some of the modern principles and some treasury.
Jake, even bigger. I mean, like, I never imagined we could do what we're doing when, like, it was anticipated, like we hoped for, but it just didn't. Like, it's one thing to work on something, and then it's another thing to have it come to fruition. So this like one of the things going on with the breasties is that Hami from the beginning has wanted to do CBD and THC care initiatives, and that just got started. Like, that's amazing. Like, that's going to help so many people. And that gives me, I'm just covered with goosebumps right now, just telling you that. I mean, I'm covered with goosebumps, man. I mean, like I really am.
It's truly amazing. Yeah. Here's the page on the breasties. I can only imagine people uncovering this and just going absolutely crazy trying to buy all of this up. But it looks like the owner distribution is actually pretty well. I don't see that many duplicates, but at 4,000 a pop, you could see this starting to funnel in. So you got even on the original website up to 7 ETH before everyone stopped right before the 15 ETH, where if this project keeps growing, then we know crypto degens will eventually come for all of these. Oh, 15 ETH one sold.
So when we're doing a big thing at Nftnyc coming up, we're having a nice big presence there, and because we can, and then our big launch at Art Basel, and then right now one of the things I don't know if I was talking to you about it, but with the market the way it is, there's holders who are letting go of their CryptoTitties right now, just because like the bottom dropped out last week and people are hurting. Well, 4 ETH is 4 ETH. And so, you know, some people have their CryptoTitties and they're ready to let go. So I tell my friends, I'm like, people are really into vintage NFTs. I just say, make a bid. Mm-hmm. Make a bid.
Yeah. We call this WETH season. If you just throw out a lot of wrapped ETH bids, a lot of them will end up being accepted.
Absolutely.
WETH season.
Absolutely.
It's
no question.
Yeah, so we'll really see what happens. What are the plans at Nftnyc? It's going to be you out there with the full team.
Yeah. Well, I am. Ami's going. Rogers is not going. I'm giving a keynote there. Like this is my second time at Nftnyc. I know the team really well, and because of all the different projects, last year we one of the NFTs that I co-created became the first NFT to launch to space. Like a lot of people have beamed NFTs to space, and so we launched to space and then orbited the planet, I think 72 times, and then returned to Earth 3 days later safely with the astronauts of the Inspiration 4 mission. That's the Mutniks and pods in space. And so now I'm working with Artemis Music Entertainment, and they are putting what they call a metacube in space that is an expansion of the actual. See, the idea of metaverse is a little different than people imagine it. Mm-hmm. So metaverse requires the juxtaposition of human beings and internet. So there has to be human beings and internet for metaverse to actually be present. And that by that view, that's my view, then the possibility is to have that extended to the furthest place where human beings are, which is the ISS. So working out those specifics, Artemis is led by Bob Richards, and Bob is a mainstay in the space industry. He co-founded SEDS, the Students for the Exploration and Development of Space, Podicant. Mm-hmm. And so I've been working with them on as an advisor in official capacity to be able to get NFT projects to outer space in a way that has credibility and legitimacy, not just for like, it's been fun sending stuff to space, but having a transformative experience when the NFT arrives at the space station, to have that acknowledgement and certification. And so creating the way that Artemis is thinking of Metacube is like a hub, like a transporter device, a Stargate.
Right. You want to do it for more than just marketing purposes, which seems to be kind of what's happening, right? Elon Musk talked about sending Doge to the moon for the marketing, right? Because it goes with the crypto memology, but there's no actual utility or use case there. It's just to say it's been to the moon, which I guess could be the meme, exactly. But here you want purpose.
You got it. There's no use case. Mm-hmm. And so having a place that actually extends, that is a real genuine extension of the metaverse in a way that is authentic. And that's, I mean, like this is fed and fueled and informed by all my experiences, CryptoTitties, everything that got us here today. And then, so are CryptoTitties going to space? Yes. Like it's that simple. That's what we're working on right now. And so then that's fine art going to space. Are CryptoTitties going to be in the MoMA? Maybe. Like that's where we're at. And that's where people like you understand, and other people are like, I don't understand. How is this JPEG of any value? And the cultural significance and influence of these projects has yet to be seen. We are literally standing outside the door. The door just opened and we took our first step outside. And then you look at stuff like Warhol's not Warhodl, but Andy Warhol's Brillo boxes and pop culture and the impacts that had. And then jump forward to the future where you have the Japanese superflat movement, because that was a movement, superflat. And this is my space work. So then that leads us to what is being expressed through blockchain art, through crypto art, through NFTs. And what's important is that it's my conjecture that human beings have evolved and that Web3 is the evolution of commerce. And it makes perfect sense to me that art has evolved to include things like utility. We have a certain way of doing poetry that we call haikus, and we know exactly how that works. Well, NFTs have not been off, are just getting started. We don't know what comes next. In fact, when I said earlier about leaning into the discomfort, nobody should say, oh, this is how NFTs work. Mm-hmm. There's nobody who can say that. They're brand new. We're inventing it. We're all creators here. This is that moment. Everything that we do here right now, people are going to talk about from here on out. 1983, 1984 in hip hop is a perfect example. Does anybody talk about the Beastie Boys? Does anybody talk about Run DMC? Does anybody talk about Salt and Pepper? LL Cool J? Anybody? All the time. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing. Except that the difference is that the thing that we're creating with Web3 is creating abundance. We're solving problems in a way that we had not even imagined before. This is not what we imagined in 2017 when we were working on this project. It's turned into that. I didn't imagine you and me having this conversation in 2017. I didn't. Mm-hmm. And here we are in 2022, and the world is a completely different place. Like, not even different. I never would have imagined it like this. And that's awesome. You know how awesome it is to be 57 and to wake up excited every day? Okay, it's great.
Absolutely beautiful and amazing. NFTs have seeped into pretty much every industry that's existed, from entertainment to social cause to investing to entertainment industry, hospitality. It just goes on and on and on. And everyone has a different view of NFTs. It's very different from we'll go to the very beginning to the vision of Bitcoin, right? The heavy debate was just two-sided. It was, is it going to be cash or is it going to be gold, right? It's going to be store of value, or is it going to be a daily transaction mechanism? And then as you move on, Ethereum had this idea of being the world's computer, which was too broad, but just kind of moving into that direction again after figuring it out. But now with NFTs, everyone has a different thing. It's a membership token, it's an access token, it's art, it's a collectible, it's history. I find it so interesting because everyone has such different and unique backgrounds. I owned an antique store. I worked on the strip, and somehow I ended up in this vintage community. You know, you're a co-founder of Obey, and you have a space initiative, and all of a sudden you did the social cause, and now you're applying that all, mixing it all together into not only reviving CryptoTitties, but then following some of these other initiatives that you probably been thinking about for a long time.
Not just rediscovering, but like having a value and a relevance here in 2022, so that for the holders, for the collectors, that's what's possible with art now. We can keep our art. It's a contemporality. It's a contemporalization mechanism of NFTs. Things can stay relevant in a different way. Another thing on that note, on that specific note, you're talking about this antique store. There's like, look at the old stuff that like is old Mickey Mouses and all the cool old vintage. Like, I'm really into comic books, all that kind of stuff. We're not allowed to use that stuff. That copyright has been kept from us as creators for our entire lives. That was scarcity mindset. And now here, look, we own apes, and we have full IP rights to do whatever we want. And look how few people use that, which says a lot more about what the value of IP than we had even given consideration. First of all, it's not such a big deal. It's not as big a deal as all the lawyers made it out to be over the years. Secondly, is the people that are using it are being really creative, inspiring, and furthering the projects, which is what we want people to do. And we're never going to be able to do that with Bugs Bunny, but we're going to be able to do that with CryptoPunks. And that to me is my favorite part of it. And you mentioned the antique store. I'll go back to that again. Have you seen what Frey, Frey, who worked with Google and Apple, the product developer for Google and Apple, did the Americana Probably Nothing, the Probably Nothing token, the something token, the Americana token. They are tokenizing actual things, items. You can tokenize a thing. You can they're going to attach an NFT to an object, and Frey is the person to do it. Like that's that kind of, and this again speaks to like, don't just the opportunity here is not to simply do what everyone else has done. The opportunity is to figure out, like, I think about, how do I do NFT graffiti? And I know what that means. So I'm not going to just do graffiti art that is available as an NFT. It doesn't mean that I'm going to do graffiti NFT. It wouldn't even be called graffiti. I'm sure of it. But the thing that has the same impact, that calls forth, like, graffiti challenges us. It challenges our idea of beauty. It challenges it challenged capitalism. That was the whole point. Like, look at this broken down building or wall or whatever, and we're going to put something amazing on it. It's not that all graffiti is beautiful or perfect. Is all art?
Nope.
It's all music.
I truly think that NFTs are allowing art to take its next evolution. It's primarily been stuck in the 2D world, and then as computers became into prominency, you had this 3D layer to it with GIFs and memes, and the abstraction and conceptual art became popularized. But now there's an incentive that's applied to it, right? Because everyone owns the NFTs. There's skin in the game, and then now you have the ability to conform around community, or communities can conform around the idea, right? Or the art. There's many layers to it, which I find very interesting. And the social engagement has never existed. And also the relationship between the artist and the community is more a level playing field. It's not as much as they're not as much prophetized, or I guess prophetic towards the creator. And there's
not as much distance between the creators and the community. So now that they're integrated. And the other thing, like something that you said that really caught my attention, is that you pointed out how fast communities form around a project. That's real. That says so much. Like we all have a need for these kind of, like, we thought of them as tribes, and now we think of them as projects, and we now think of them as communities. We have a need for that. And we get to do that. We get to find our project, and we get to be part of it. I love being part of Loser Club. Holy smokes. I love that project. Mm-hmm. And I very much enjoyed the Americana, and probably, I don't know what's happening with that project. It's unfolding. And since I have no idea what's happening, it's so exciting. I love that. And the DBs, I'm always hanging out with the DBs in their rooms on Twitter Spaces and everything like this. And then the vintage NFT community, like intellectuals, philosophers, and look how everybody has found one another. We all find our, like, water seeks its own level.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, Jake, I think that people didn't know that these levels needed to be addressed. And we've gotten to a place where I am of the view that this showed up now because human beings evolved. It happened, and we needed this, like, we got to have this be expressed so that we can be expressed as we live alongside Homo sapiens who are interested in. My son is 11, and he's like, why are we going to, and we call it WAR. Why are we going to WAR? I'm like, Bubba, it is 2022, and I just think that people want to fight because it's not you or me, and it's not our friends who are collecting NFTs who want to go to WAR. I guarantee it. Mm-hmm. No one's interested in that.
Yeah, it's old world mindset.
It's old species. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Homo sapien thinking.
Yeah, there was an interview I saw. I think it was Grimes was talking on Lex Friedman's podcast about how we're actually more techno sapiens at this point. We spend most of our time in the digital world. Our phones never are farther than 5 feet away from us, or else develop anxiety. And most of our secrets are buried in these phones. And this is why privacy is so important, because if somebody peers into your phone, they're peering into the depths of your mind, and that is terrifying for some people, right? I always say you could go through my text messages, but if you start going through my notepad, man, you're gonna steal everything from me.
I mean, like, I'm not, like, I on that note, I'm about, I don't know. I can't even imagine being a teenager here in the future. I mean, I would just be a giant adult materials junkie is what I would be. I would have no doubt. That's one part. And the other part is that I, as a grown up, like here's my phone. Like the stuff that you're not supposed to get into, you're not going to be able to get into. Mm-hmm. That's me as a technologically proficient human being. The other thing is that I have people who are my mentors, and there's certain things I don't want on my phone. There's certain things I don't look at. I just don't. And that way I don't have any I don't have any shame or embarrassment or anything like that. And that's important. We deserve to be we get to be human beings and live our lives and be contributing to society and not being ashamed of who we are. I don't care what kink or sex idea that you're involved in, as long as it's mutual, as long as it's like consenting grown-ups. Yes, awesome, do your thing. But I'm not into shaming. I'm not into any of that. And I work to create models and to represent models that allow people to feel healthy and good about themselves. And you know what? In the U.S., it's really tricky because ever since I was a kid, we've been made to feel bad about who we are and how we are. Holy smokes! There was no gay people when I was growing up. There was everybody, and then there was perverts, and that's it. There was no model. So how all the people that killed themselves and were killed because of what?
Because of their preference. Yeah.
I mean, Alan Turing, who pretty much single-handedly saved the freaking world and invented computers, committed suicide because they found out he was gay and we shamed him. Mm-hmm. And if that doesn't say it all, holy wow. Like, have you ever looked at the you know how Alan Turing died, right? He was, first of all, they found he had some person that he was in a relationship with, mm-hmm. who went and turned him in for being gay. And because they were like they got caught as a thief or something. So they traded this information, and then he got charged with this. And then he had a choice. He could go to prison or he could be chemically castrated, which meant that he grew female breasts. And then like, it was just an atrocity what we did, but it's like, we can say that here in the future. Right. Mm-hmm. So like, and then he committed suicide supposedly by eating an apple with cyanide in it. Wow. And then if you look on the logo of the apple logo, man, like, it blows my mind. It gives me chills every time I look.
Interesting. I did not know that.
It gives me straight up goosebumps.
I think that's why this is one of the reasons why need and purpose and cause is very important, and why I think so many of us are conforming around just crypto and NFTs in general. It gives you not only one place to feel a belonging to, but many places. One place you can still feel isolated even in a group of individuals. But if you have many groups that you feel that there's a purpose to, then I think it prevents a lot of these things from happening, because it gives you strength in numbers from many different variables and angles. So that's the social, I like to kind of relate crypto in a few different ways, where DeFi has been pooling the most intellectual capital in the world, and then NFTs kind of pools the most social capital, and it scales it so fast. If you just look at Twitter and watch these influencers go from 0 followers to 100,000 in weeks or months, based off of, of course, money is a part of that dynamic, but
or hours if they know the right promoter.
Yeah. All right. They know the right bots, bots to hop into. And I think it eventually crypto will keep putting out different applications that will scale different types of or forms of capital that weren't regularly discussed, but it allows people who want to have in-depth conversations about ideas that are not in the physical world. And I think that's why a lot of us stay here, is that, we all get wrecked and, get rugged and all these things, but we still see the grander vision of it, is that there's so many things outside of money that NFTs and just crypto in general brings to us. And that's a beauty.
That actually sounds like you, Jake.
Hey, that's why I'm here, right? That's why I'm in the vintage space.
It clearly is. It was just like, it was like, how do you tell somebody about yourself without telling somebody about yourself? You just did a really wonderful job of it. Yeah, that was good.
I think that if we didn't file it down to the vintage NFT space and versus the historical NFT space and having those debates, there's a lot of semantics involved, a lot of personal opinions and subjectivity, but we're all kind of getting there. And to have these conversations now is important because as you mentioned in the very beginning, we're setting up history, and what we dictate or the opinions that we lay out will be followed for however long crypto or whatever this digital economy that evolves from.
If you're here now, you're early. If you're here 3 years from now, you're early.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
so get in.
Before we get out of here, Mike, I got to ask one more question about Obey. As you said that you were in those early days. Is there anything similar between those early days of Obey and its success and crypto now that you see? Is there any sort of commonalities that stick out to you?
When we started doing Obey, nobody understood it. And some people hated it. And then some people absolutely loved it. And we couldn't even understand why people irrationally loved it. I was one of those people. Like I just for me, how Obey worked was I was in Charleston. Shepard is from Charleston. He was at RISD and I was at Charleston, and I was there. And when he was home, he would sticker this is like 91. He would sticker the Charleston. People didn't sticker anything back then. There was no stickering, and there was no memes, and there was no virality, no viral. And like all of that came about because a lot of it because of the work, like not exclusively, but like we contributed so much to that. And we put up these stickers everywhere. And then he did this. It got me. And I'd seen it and I wasn't conscious of it, but I'd seen it. And then one night I was out and I went to a store, opened up a cooler. And then there at the base of the cooler was the Andre the Giant Has a Posse sticker, the original Obey sticker. And it just like immediately, all the times that I had seen it in the past, like in my regular travels, just came flooding in. Like, this has been in front of you this entire time and you haven't noticed it. And it was epiphanal. I was just like, what is that? What is that? What? No, I was like, what is that? It reminds me in science. In science, there's a great thing. You're like, when something really interesting is happening, you're like, that's strange. Like, it's unexpected. And then, when I saw that first Andre the Giant sticker, I was like, wait a minute, what is that? And so I started tracking it down, and eventually I got to Shepard and figured it out. And through a number of very funny, like crazy paths, because it was that kind of project. It wasn't meant to have an automatic reveal or you're like, here's the key, you opened up the box. It wasn't like that. There's a phenomenological aspect to it. Like it makes us pay attention to our surroundings and be aware of our being present. And that is these aspects of Obey, which Andre the Giant Has a Posse eventually became Obey for a bunch of different reasons. And in 94, and all of those things that people, the emotional responses that people had, the way that we didn't understand what it was at the time. And having Barack Obama elected president of the United States happened because of Obey. So a sticker that happened in 1988 translated to the first president of the United States being elected who was Black, 20 years after the debut of the sticker. And I learned a lot from that. I learned that first of all, if you want to get something, we can get anything done that we want to get done as long as we're willing to let someone else take credit for it. That's one thing. I learned that if we really legitimately want a goal, then just start today and just keep on doing it. Don't stop. We never stopped doing Obey. And then it led to hope. That's how that happened. And then there's a thinker, his name is Brown, Jim Brown. I think it's I can't remember, and he's a motivational speaker, and he says, stop worrying about what people think. You're weird. Own it. You're weird. You're a weirdo. Be the weirdo. Do that. And then once you like stop caring what anyone else thinks and just do the thing that you know is right, that I know is right, that's when it all works out. Like that saying that is attributed to Gandhi. At first they ignore us, then they laugh at us, then they fight us, and then we win. If we're talking about abundance for everybody, which is the way that I see what's on the table with Web3, then I'm taking this to the hilt. And I encourage everyone to pursue it the exact same way. In the same way that I tell students, I get to work with students about pursuing careers in space and astronautics. If you're a superhero, be the best superhero that you can be. If you're a supervillain, be the best supervillain you can be. I want you to know that me and my friends are superheroes. So, that's the game. You want to play that game? I'm good for that game. And I got friends who are superheroes. And so they're going to be dealing with people that are supervillains. Most of us didn't come, the people are like, no one came here evil. Okay, cool. So then we've got a lot of work to do to become the best versions of ourselves, because we all, you, me, everybody here before Web3, we've been steeped in scarcity. Food is something we have to fight for. Transportation is something we have to fight for. Wardrobe is something we have to fight for. Employment is something we have to fight for. Medicine is something we have to fight for. It doesn't have to be that way. It just doesn't. We have enough on this planet to do it. And beginning to think like that, understanding that, we can actually do this. Because people are like, oh no, it's impossible. This is human nature. I'm like, okay, great. We are capable of holding two ideas in our head at the same time, right? So let's take the idea that it's impossible. Let's just put it right here. Just like make it a thing, and we're going to put it right over here on our mental shelf. We're just going to, it's impossible for everything to work out. Got it. Now, let's think about what it would look like if it weren't impossible. Because we can do that, right? We can hold two ideas in our head at the same time. Like, what would it look like? That's all I'm asking. And that is where people become challenged, provoked. Oh my gosh, your NFTs have boobs. Your NFTs have boobs. And I'm like, oh my God, is there a person on the planet who wasn't born, who didn't come here with boobs? There's nothing bad, like fingers, crypto eyes, crypto titties. Yes, it's okay. There's nothing inherent. In fact, not only is there nothing inherently bad with titties, there's a lot of wonderful, amazing things about titties, and crypto titties are art.
Absolutely.
So this is Jake, this is how I wake up every day. I don't even need coffee to get here.
I'm hyped. I'm hyped, okay, man. Cool. Mike, this was seriously a very insightful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your time. I got to hop on the CryptoTitties train sometime here pretty soon. Looking forward to seeing everything else that comes out of the workshop. Cool.
Thank you. Well, I look forward to talking again. We'll talk in the future about what comes next.
Nftnyc, I'll see you there.
I'll see you there.
I'll see you there.
Pow.
Thank you guys for listening and watching. We'll catch you next time.